from being 80 degrees to 40 degrees, and now it's about 85 degrees, and I'm sweating my bejesus off. I don't know what the hell is up with y'all, man. I don't know what the hell's going on here. I'm trying to get my clubhouse. I was trying to get my clubhouse going. I wanted to test this while we was doing our show, but I'm gonna have to put this on hold. And do this separate and apart because it's gonna take all of my attention, and I can't do that and do this too. So with that being said, I'm gonna say what's happening. My son laughing at me. He keeps saying no, pops, blase, 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 and I'm like, boy, look. I got time to do this, and I ain't got time to do that, and I've been having these things going on. So where's everybody at? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? I think I confused people by sending out this clubhouse. I wanted to invite a couple people to clubhouse so I could try this. I didn't want to take y'all time, but I don't know. So what's happening, people? How y'all doing? How you doing? How y'all doing? How you doing? Where you at? It's half past. It was full past that half, and I've been working my BZs. Hey. Thank you. I feel miserably. I'm trying to get this clubhouse thing going so I could get you people here. Since half of y'all half naked when y'all come to the show, I figure I'd give y'all a way to express yourself. So we're gonna have to get up on this. I'm gonna have to do it separate and apart from the show. I was trying to do it concurrently, but there's just too many moving parts for me to be doing this by myself. So with that said, I'm trying to see who clicks on this thing and shows up. How I be? Ah, nah. I'm trying to do too many things here, and I've been messing around with Spectrum trying to get enough, what I say, bandwidth to make sure that I'm coming up. And meanwhile, I'm failing on my other things. Like I'm missing people on Facebook and what have you. So what's happening with y'all? What's happening with you? What's up? What's up, Tish? What's up? Cause ain't nobody bad like me. Hey, I got a penthouse in Manhattan, 2 more in Malibu. I bought a 217 Cadillac Seville, girl. Yeah, I probably need to do that. I'm gonna have to do this separate and apart because I'm trying to manage 6, 7 things. I'm in here by myself, and it's not working out for me, right? I posted it on my page at the last minute. I copied a couple people, I tagged a couple people, and I don't know if those people came up. And I gotta find out if they actually. I know last week a couple people came to the room, but I couldn't really interact with them. So I tried to put them on a new phone and blah 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 blah. So I've been dealing with Spectrum, trying to make sure everything is right. and it ain't working. So I'm gonna stick with what I know for the time being. What I'm gonna do this weekend, for those of you who are kind of like myself and you really haven't gotten into your summer yet, just yet, for those of you that's like myself and are practicing retirees, I'm gonna impose on some people over the weekend and ask you guys to help me as I move into a couple other, as I try out a couple other platforms. Namely, I'm gonna check out this one, and I'm gonna check out. I want to check out Clubhouse, and I'm gonna check out this one with the live face interaction. I just ultimately that's what I want to do. I want to be able to bring people up, and I'm tired of talking about it. I know you tired of hearing me. You're like, damn it, just do it. Don't be about it. Don't talk about it. Be about it. So that's where I am right now, folks. I'm in the midst of um, the madness, I guess. I'm gonna schedule an event over the weekend. So before we get started, let me just make this quick public service announcement. I'm gonna schedule. I can do anything, but not all at the same time. Y'all asking me to walk, chew bubble gum, fly a spaceship, and look at what's happening in my rearview mirror. I'm trying to manage 4 platforms at once, and it's not working. So until I get it to where I'm more familiar with it, I'm just gonna have to leave it alone. And meanwhile, my people on Facebook like, yo, I feel so unloved, man. You just abandoned me. So as other people started to move into other platforms, I figured you guys would um, become more familiar with it. And once I make the transition, it wouldn't be that hard. It'd be easy for you to do. But it's not worked out that way. So I'm gonna I'm gonna kind of shut this down because I got too many moving parts going on. I got And you know what? I'm a type B personality. I can come up with all of these great ideas, but sometimes getting them done per se, that's why I need my other people. I need my type A's. I need those people that are nitpicky, those people that, I could kind of, I'm so damn used to delegating stuff. I'm used to having my own IT department. I used to having my own managerial staff. I used to having my um my executive assistant who ran my life better than I ran my own life. So that's where I'm accustomed to being. Um, in the meantime, in between time, it's funny because I could watch myself on Facebook and I see how far behind I am. I got about 6 damn phones, folks, and I'm trying to use all of these phones to do different things. What I'm trying to do is find the one platform that can put me in these multiverses. Yeah, all at one time, but it's not happening. So, with that being said, it's somewhat wow, half past the half. I want to say good evening and welcome to the show. Before I get started, I always like to say, as I say every Thursday, thank you for taking time out to come here and interact with me. Thank you for coming by and allowing me to be a part of your Thursday night. Of all the things you could be doing, you choose to be here, listening to some of the things that I have to say. This week, I want so badly to get into issues that affect us on a more immediate basis. The politics stuff I talk about from time to time, but I want to talk about things that affect the Black family. I want to affect talk about things that affect Black men and women who are kind of like myself, who are looking at, um, I guess you might say, dating or something or whatever they're doing. So that's where we are. That's where I am. When I meet people, um, friends and family, I always talk about what's going on. And um, when it's not just me, I handle it like a drug situation in the suburbs. When it hits the suburbs, it's an epidemic. As long as it's in the hood, it's no problem. It's nobody's problem. But as soon as it hits the suburb, it's an epidemic. So with so many of us being in our 40s, 50s, 60s, and looking for someone to share their life with, and when I look at the sad state of families, I um I want to do some things to address those issues. We got about hmm, we got about 16 months before we really have to get into what's really we got about 12 months before we really have to get into things that are going to affect the 2024 election. Presidential elections is where everybody comes out of the rafters to make their voices heard, to vote and do the things that kind of matter. So in that meantime, in between time, what I wanted to do is talk about things that affect us on a day-to-day basis. Before I go any further, let me take a minute. Let me stop what I'm doing and ruin this show for a minute. My first grandchild's birthday is today, and we were texting back and forth, and I was trying to do that and do this and multitask and set up 4 different platforms. But I just wanted to say, Tariana, Big Papa loves you. She was the one who gave me the name Big Papa before there was a Big and Small. You understand what I'm saying? Before he was sneaking Navajos in their teepees, and you understand. um, she started calling me Big Papa, and it's something that kind of stuck. Um, Now most of the grandkids call me Big Papa, and I'm going into another generation with her kids. So I'm not going to give out her age because she says she's 19. Her ass ain't 19. That's all I'm going to say about that. But if she go backwards, that means I can go backwards too. So I want to wish Tariana happy birthday. Big Papa, love you. Mwah, 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 mwah. Um, she's the first, man. She's the first. So always gonna have a special place in my heart. Um, from the political perspective, a couple of my Facebook friends sent me the same TikTok or YouTube of this girl responding to somebody else's YouTube, a TikTok. I think it was a YouTube. But anyway, the gist of it was this white guy who was talking about, guess who this is, and he talked about the number of people under indictment, the number of people had been arrested for domestic violence, and so forth and so on. And at the end of it, he says it wasn't the NBA, it wasn't the NFL, it was actually the 435 people that comprised the United States Congress. And I kind of shook my head and I didn't respond to either of them simply because I felt like this was a Tom Joyner, J. Anthony Brown moment. I've been telling you guys this nonsense since Jesus was an embryo, you know? And when I say it, for whatever reason, it falls on deaf ears. And again, when a white man says it, or a white woman says it, then you say, oh, it must be true. White man said. So we kind of got to get away from that. if once we start taking things to heart that are what I call indigenous or personal to us as people of color, um, I think we'll be in a better place. So let me get back on track. Thanks for showing up this Thursday night. My name is Hank Batiste. The name of the show is Omit the Logic. And folks, let me just say this. I tried not to go off the rails, but I don't think anyone realizes how much this is like a full-time job. When I talk about trying to manage 3 or 4 different platforms, researching future platforms to grow the show and what have you, it makes me understand and appreciate any little B movie from Hollywood Shuffle to, some of the movies I try to watch for 3 minutes and cut it off and shut it down. The fact that they get all of these things done is just beyond me. I said all of that to say this. When I put as much effort, when I put as much time, when I put as much research, when I put as much background into putting together one of these 30 to 45-minute shows, and the people that tune in every week, I appreciate that. But there are folks that come in and they get snippets of what's happening here and there, and then they kind of disappear. And the next time I hear from them, they're saying, "Well, hey man, did you see this?" And I'm saying, I've been saying that for 20 months. I've been saying that for 3 years. So why didn't you catch it when I said it? Why did it not click? Why did it not strike a chord? Why did it not resonate with your consciousness when I said it? You know, I don't like to talk about my credentials, and I feel like the teacher here in high school who's telling you, "I got mine, you got to get yours." But folks, this is not a joking matter. One of the reasons I didn't want to take money for doing the show is to show you my level of commitment. And I think until people feel like it's something that they have to pay for, they're not going to appreciate it. So, with that being said, um, yes, I see those things that other people say. And sometimes I hear them say it. Sometimes I've said it first, and sometimes I'll listen to what they say and get their take on something that I've either said, something that I've heard of, or it could be something that I'm hearing for the first time, and I'll incorporate it in my show. So, yes, I appreciate that you guys go out and you think of me when you get these earth shaking things that resonate with you, and you get excited. And I wish you get the same thing from my show. This is why I'm trying to grow the show so that you will look at it as though it's something that you're hearing from whomsoever, Jackie Reed or whoever on CNN or Rachel Maddow or any of those guys, Don Lemon or what have you. And it's not to say that I'm like them, and not to say that I couldn't do their job. All I'm saying is knowledge. And coming from a black school and going out into society, what I heard time and time again is, yeah, well, you got an A at Carver, but if you went to Ben Franklin, I don't know if you would have gotten an A. 2 plus 2 is 4, no matter where you get that from. So that's the way I want you to approach knowledge. And it's not just me. Whether you get it, wherever you get this knowledge from, wherever where you hear it and it strikes that chord with you, that's a good thing. And I appreciate you bringing it back to me. But go back and look at a couple of my shows. And when you come back and you say, "Hey, man, look, you said this, such and," Yes, now I know that you've been paying attention and what have you. So, so much for that tangent. I'm back now. How y'all doing, folks? Happy birthday, Tarion. This is a mythologic. My name is Hank Batiste, and I promise I will not be as ignorant as I've been for the last 5, 10 minutes on that tangent. But when I see some of the political stuff, when I see, I was listening to Ricky Smiley the other morning on my way to the gym, and he had the guy, and I can't think of his name, but one of the black um, newscasters that I like, and I think he was from, I can't remember where he's from, but he was talking about some things, and one of the questions that Ricky posed to him is something that people have posed to me. So I've been avoiding it like the plague, but I'm gonna go ahead and deal with it now because I can't ignore you guys when you come to me with something. People keep asking me about Ron DeSantis and about this, that, and the other. And I have friends that call and say, "Oh man, you in Florida now." And I'm like, Florida is no different than anyone else. This Ron DeSantis is, he looks like one of the seven dwarfs. The dude wears elevated shoes, and now they're starting to make it public and what have you. But um he's really been making a name for himself with some of the trumpsters, those hateful people who spew that rhetoric. He's taken on Disney, and here in the state of Florida, he's really acting up. He, and this is what I kind of tell my people, those black folks that voted for him versus um, Val Demings or Andrew Gilliard and some of the qualified black people who ran for government, a governor, they choose to vote for the other guy. And that's synonymous with when I say something, people that wouldn't listen, but when somebody else says it, especially the white man, they hear it wholeheartedly and take it to heart. So now some of those same people are coming to me and they say, "Man, I didn't know your boy was like that." And I'm like, a tiger doesn't change his stripes. I talked a little bit about self-hate, and I talked about those people, the Santises and the Ted Cruzes and people like that who are not Anglo-Saxon, but go out their way to appease the Anglo-Saxons and those that are in power. So DeSantis has started his what I call his hate tour, trying to make a run for the Republican candidate for president. Stay tuned. I think it's going to fizzle out. Right now, he's trying to take on the black sororities and fraternities here in Florida. He's taken on the HBCUs. He's taken on, and the fraternities and sororities stepped up because he tried to take, well, he took advanced Afro American studies out of the public school system. They're no longer receiving funding to teach those things. He's all but dispelled, as most white governors have done that have any kind of Republican ties. They've done away with critical race theory simply because it shines a light. Now, what's crazy is when you're not white Anglo Saxon, you should be looking towards it as something that could really help you and people that look like you, but it's just the contrary. So, with that being said, I'm not ignoring your pleas to deal with the Ron DeSantis and some of the hateful rhetoric that's going on. It's just that I bombarded your consciousness with it for the last almost 3 years. Getting Biden in, getting Trump out, and then making sure that our Congress was democratic enough in spite of the Pelosi's and what have you. And I've fought that fight for almost 3 years. So I'm trying to take a breather so that you can catch your breath as well. As we move into next year, and about this time next year, as we start looking at the 2024 elections, then I'll start dealing with things that are noteworthy for as politics is concerned. Right now, let me just tell you this. This is just political posturing. This is people who are trying to make a name for themselves, trying to rise to the top of this curdled milk that is the Republican Party. So let's not ignore them, but let's give them the amount of attention that they deserve. And how we do that is devise ways of getting rid of them and anyone who subscribes to that hateful rhetoric. The other thing I've been asked about is, do you think Trump is ever going to be convicted? I said, getting him arrested, we have been playing this game of chess since Trump left the White House. They've been allowing him to bury himself deep enough where other Republicans go to abandon him and start taking the party back. They've been looking for the trumpsters to find someone else to follow so that if and when they arrest this man on the plethora of charges, criminal and civil charges that he has against him, that it does not initiate January 6th, that coup attempt on a grander scale. And we don't see little skirmishes, just like we see these little hateful people shooting up schoolyards and this, that, and the other. We don't want these domestic terrorists, is the best word that I could use to describe them, to be so caught off. And now what's starting to happen is all of that money that was being poured into Trump's pockets is actually starting to go in other places within the Republican Party. And those people that are Republican are starting to get away from that. You still have that 7% of crackpots who would walk through hell with gasoline draws on their hands and knees to support Trump. So when the powers to be, and here's the catch-22, when the powers to be it the attorney generals in New York, in Georgia, and the other places, when they determine that they can move forward and arrest this man and prosecuting for the many crimes that he's played, that he's committed, they're going to do so. So the short answer is, do I think he's going to be arrested? Do I think he's going to be convicted? There's a strong possibility. Will it happen in the next 5 months? Highly unlikely, because the situation is still too volatile. So is that enough politics for you guys? Can I get back to Black families now, please? All right. So folks, thank you for doing what I asked you to do. And I'm not scolding you for doing what I asked you to do, but I'm saying, don't be caught so off guard that it sends you into a mental health breakdown because you hear DeSantis is doing this and they're trying to arrest Trump and they're doing this That's just political posturing. That's not something that we should worry about right now. Right now, let's focus on things that make you and I stronger. Because once upon a time, the strongest bond in humankind had to do with um, the strongest bond that I've known historically had to do with the black family. And I'm talking about from Africa through the Middle Passage coming to America and trying to be a man and having your woman accosted on a nightly basis by a man who was less than a man than you, calling himself master. And yet somehow that black family persevered and stayed together as best they could because all they had was each other. So now in this difficult time where we have these material things that we are fascinated by, these nice houses and shiny cars and a few dollars in the bank, we get so distracted, we start thinking that we're all of that. And what happens is we start to care less about each other. So again, um, as soon as I get these platforms together and I can integrate you into the show, we're going to start talking about getting back to the basics and the black family. Because once upon a time, the most sought after job was a school teacher. So a black woman that wanted to be a school teacher, that was a big deal. The most sought after job was for a black man was a laborer or garbage man because it gave them a steady salary. And then we had black people. Now, my grandmother, my mother's mother, was a midwife. And I don't talk about that because I'm proud of my grandmother. I'm proud of the fact that I come from that lineage. And these are a lot of the things that help to make me the person that I am. But what I don't like to sound like is my grandma is better than your grandma. Coming from New Orleans, we had that song, Iko Iko. My grandma and your grandma was sitting by the fire. So I don't want to sound petty. I don't want to sound braggadocious. I don't want to sound boastfully or boastful when I talk about, where I come from. Because when I look at you guys, you have the same things in your family. If you start to look back, and I think once upon a time, those were the things that we focused on. You know, yeah, I had, people in my family. I got a cousin that was doing triple life. You understand? Because now, trust and believe this boy came from a very mm, good middle class family. And he wanted for nothing growing up. And the fact that they gave him everything, somehow he started this what I call this trend. Well, we work our behinds off so that our children could have, and our children want to have street credit. They want to be known for being bad, this, that, and the other. And that they, those people that they call friends that have less than them, get into the head and make them feel like less than because they come from means. Nobody could do that with me. I know how hard my mom and my dad worked. You understand? It wasn't something that I would brag about because I understood the sacrifices that they made. When my mom went without so that I could have, when I went without so that my children could have, the only thing I ask for in return is don't be hoodwinked and bamboozled by those people who want to be like you and make you feel like the only way you're going to be something special is if you have teardrops under your eyes, or if you're a member of, this clique or this gang or this, that, or the other. Um, Appreciate. And I think that's the difference. If I came home with $40 from washing cars, you understand? My mom was going to ask me, how much are you charging to wash a car? And how could you make that much money in this bit of time? And if I'd have turned to her and said, Mom, well, what the deal is I figured out if I wash the pimp's cars, they pay me a whole lot more, 3 times more than the average person who paid me $3 or $4, or $2 or $3 really at the time. But these guys were giving me $5 or $10. So I couldn't take that money home because in my mom's mind, all money is not good money. I would rather you only make $10 a day and not be, I guess, hoodwinked by this fast money. That's what they used to call it, fast money, because fast money always leads to a breakdown. I was smart enough, and the fact that the New Orleans that I grew up in back then, I was not exploited. I was smart enough to not allow myself to be hoodwinked or bamboozled, more so because I feared my mom and my dad. My dad only put his hands on me one time, and it's when I spoke badly about my mom. When my mom and my dad divorced and my mom didn't want to give me something, I figured the only way I could get it is if I played my dad against my mom. Kids do that today. My mom and dad wasn't having it. So my dad grabbed me by my collar. He said, "Little old, let me tell you something. Your mama is a good woman. You don't know what she goes without. So that your little nappy head behind her, I'm on the dad. I got good hair. You don't want that." But no. And I looked at him. I said, "He still loves her." And then as I got older, I started to understand he still respected my mom. The fact that they were no longer man and wife meant nothing when it came to raising their children because they were of one accord. So it wasn't about this fast money. And it turned into a teaching moment. Now, when I see households where the kid is a known drug dealer and it seems to be something that the family brags about. I watch things like The Wire, I watch things like Snowfall, and these are historical references. If we watch Leave It to Beaver and we learn something from that, why can't we realize we couldn't be like Leave It to Beaver and the Cleavers and living in this fictitious place called Mayfield, but we understood that what we were seeing was how a man and a woman, a man and a wife dealt with their children. And in my household, I saw that as well. So I said all of that to say this. We have to get back to the basics. The reason I'm busting my behind trying to find these platforms where I can get your interaction is because I don't want to sit here for the next 2 or 3 months and preach to you. I feel that what you have to say, what you have to share, your experiences are just as important as my own. So I want to incorporate those in the show. So I apologize I'm trying to do too damn much at one time. What I'm going to do, and say this one more time, over the weekend, I'm going to try to set up two things. I'm going to try to set up a test for this clubhouse thing so that that's one way that we can communicate. And I'm going to set up a test for this other platform where I can actually bring you up on camera so that you'll be able to share into this show as well. This show only works because of each and every one of you. So how I'm going to pay you back for your 3 years of following me, your 3 years of commitment, your week to week, every Thursday night you come up in here and you listen to me, and hopefully I know you're taking something back because a lot of you come back to me with your own suggestions for shows. You come back to me with things that you hear and seen in other places. So don't get me wrong. I'm not beating you up from, and I know that you had to hear it when I said it in order to bring it back and say, well, hey, bro, you said that. So back to the basics. Back to the basics. That's where we're headed. I'm going to make it happen. I promise this to you. Mark my word. Back to the basics. I'm going to make it happen. It's going to be a situation where we talk about the breakdown of the family and we talk about how we can all put it back together because my experiences aren't your own. I talk about the fact that women have a type. And I think sometimes when we put it quote unquote on blast on Front Street, it gives a person an opportunity to look at themselves and say, you know what? I didn't realize that I was doing that. And now that I know that I'm doing that, how can I do things a little differently? So that's where I am. The politics things, thank you. We're gonna get back to that. We got about a year before we have to deal with them fools. Right now, let's let them fight amongst themselves and the crabs tear each other apart. We're not gonna give them the oxygen on this show every Thursday night. Right now, the most important thing to me is us. How do we get back to loving each other? How do a man and a woman learn how to love each other the same way Kizzy and Kunta and Chicken George and all of these folks learn how to love each other in spite of the things that they were subjected to? So the things that we're dealing with now, we've got these little material trappings that make us feel special, make us feel like we all of that, and we really aren't. Because in the final analysis, the example that we're setting for our family, our children, our children's children, leaves a lot to be desired. So with that being said, I want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I want to thank you for your patience and helping me to deal with all of these mishaps and all of these moving parts. And yes, I can do 1,000 things. I really can, but I can't do them all at one time. So I've got about 4 platforms that I'm trying to master. On top of that, I'm dealing with um, an internet provider and a cable provider that I only get so much of what's called that bandwidth to make these things happen. And they try to convince me that the easiest way to make this happen is for me to pay them $200-300 a month. Well, that's fine if my name was CNN or MSNBC, but we're not there yet, folks. So, with that being said, again, before you go to my YouTube. YouTube is where I have over 230 videos on YouTube. And every week I add another one. So if you came in late, your homework is to go to YouTube, sign up. That's it right there. Omit the logic. OMITDALOGIC. Omit the logic. And I'm going to say it one more time. I spell duh the way we pronounce it. DA, not THE. If you put in, and ironically, if you put in omit the THE logic, you get a Richard Pryor special. So DA, you get this genius. THE, you get the other one. I'll tell you what. So go to my YouTube, sign up, subscribe, ring the bell. Take a couple of these shows. In your off time, go back and look at some of the older shows. You're going to be so glad you did. Share with others. Each one teach one so each one can reach one. In the meantime, in between time, I will see you here next week on these platforms because I know they work. Same Baptiste time, same Baptiste place. And as always important, I wish you love. I wish you peace, two fingers to the sky. And like your man, Cat Grease. I'm out of here, folks. That's all I got for you tonight. I love you to death. Ain't a damn thing you can do about it. Good night. Yeah. I'm looking at some of the comments. YouTube, you guys are my bread and butter. The good thing is, I want to be able, just like you guys come and you interact with me and you type in your comments and what have you, I want you to be able to lend me your voice. And to those that are not half naked, pinky, and when I'm doing the show, if you want to lend me your likeness as well, I want to give you a platform where you can show your face, even if it's just a. And I think some of these things, you don't have to turn your camera on and show me you swinging on the pole while you're doing this. So you guys get, this is what I call the after show. So you guys, I appreciate you being here. I do, and I love you. I love you, and I love you too. Um, Stick with me. This week, I'm gonna start doing probably this weekend. I'm gonna look at doing a couple tests. So I'm gonna send you guys some stuff. And if you have my number, and everybody on here has my number, yep. I'm going to be sending out, hopefully you guys can give me about 20, 30 minutes somewhere this weekend. And we work on some of these other platforms so I can bring the show to the next level. I got this vision, folks. I got this vision. We got about 15 months to make this black thing happen. Just imagine how powerful our families used to be. Even when the wife was a school teacher and the husband was a garbage man. Even when the wife was a nurse and the husband was working a day job at the car wash or a grave digger. You know what I mean? So if we can learn that, if we can learn that all money ain't good money and fast money don't build families, we can start loving on each other. And once we learn how to love each other, I'm out.